Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're really zeroing in on a key part of how we talk about time in English. It's the past continuous tense.
That's right. And, if you've been following our series on English tenses, this is another important piece, the past continuous. Well, it's kind of like shining a spotlight, isn't it, on an action that was actually happening at a particular time back then.
Exactly. Not just something that happened and finished, but something that was like in the middle of happening. And hey, if you're finding these deep dives useful for getting your English sharper, do subscribe to Soundlish Podcast and maybe give this video a like. It really helps other people find us too.
It does indeed.
Okay, so let's dive right in. Past continuous. What's the main idea here?
Well, the core concept basically is describing something that was ongoing, an action that was happening for a stretch of time in the past. It started before a specific moment. It was happening at that moment, maybe even continued after. But the key thing is it's finished now. And it really highlights the duration, or the process of the action back then.
Right.
Think of present continuous, I'm eating, but just shifted into the past. I was eating.
Okay, so I ate dinner, done, finished, but I was eating dinner. That tells you what was happening at, say, 7 p.m. yesterday.
Precisely. You're zooming in on the middle of the action. That's the feeling it gives.
Got it. Okay, so structure. How do we actually build these sentences?
Right, the structure. It's actually pretty straightforward, thankfully. You need the past tense of to be, so that's was or were.
Okay.
And then you take your main verb and stick ing on the end.
So subject, then was or were, then the verb with ing. Simple enough.
Yeah, exactly. And choosing was or were, that just depends on your subject. Was with I, he, she, it. Singular stuff.
Right.
And where is for we, you, they, the plural ones.
Okay, let's look at some examples then. Make it concrete.
Good idea.
Okay, how about this? Some firefighters were fighting with fire during the rescue works.
Ah, perfect. Firefighters, that's plural, right. So we're fighting. It shows that action, fighting the fire, it wasn't just a quick thing. It was happening continuously during the rescue.
Makes sense. And another plural one, health professionals were testing the vaccine in the laboratory.
Yep. Health professionals, plural again, so we're testing. You get the picture of that testing process being in full swing in the lab at that time.
And a singular one. A technician was mending the machine just before the explosion?
There you go. A technician, singular so, was mending. It paints that picture, doesn't it? The technician right in the middle of fixing it. And then, bang, the explosion happened.
Yeah.
So in all of them, the tense really stresses that the action was ongoing in the past.
Okay, structure's clear. What about negatives? Saying something wasn't going on.
Negatives are super easy, actually. You just pop the word not right after was or were. That's it. The ing part stays the same. So like, the poor man wasn't expecting such a reaction. It just was not squished together.
Right, the contraction.
It tells us that expecting that reaction wasn't his ongoing state of mind then.
Or this one. The children were not feeling well when they entered the hospital.
Yeah, shows that feeling unwell was their continuous state right at the moment they walked into the hospital.
Yep.
Were not, or the contraction weren't.
Okay, simple enough. And flipping it into a question.
Also pretty simple. You just you swap the subject and the was or were. So was or were comes first, then the subject, then the verbing bit.
Right.
It's like, were you doing physical exercise during your treatment? You're asking if that exercise was an ongoing activity during that past time.
Or was your financial consultant giving you advice?
Yep. Asking if the advice giving was happening continuously then.
And what about where questions like who, what, where?
Yeah. For those, the word just slots in right at the very beginning. Then comes was or were, then the subject, then the verbing.
Okay, so like the example, how is the committee deciding about the study areas?
Exactly. The question's asking about the process,
Yeah.
How that decision-making was happening during the MBA program.
It always comes back to that in-progress idea in the past.
Precisely. Always.
Okay.
Yeah. That ing ending, mostly you just add it, right? But there are a few little spelling quirks, things to watch out for.
Yes. The tricky bits, where people sometimes trip up.
Exactly. Those little details. Let's run through the main ones.
Okay.
So first up, verbs ending in a silent E, like make or hope. You usually drop that final E before you add ing.
Right. So take becomes taking, come becomes coming, hope becomes hoping, drive is driving.
Perfect. And, write to writing, shave to shaving, admire to admiring, amaze to amazing. Lots of them. That silent E just vanishes.
Got it. What's next?
Okay, next rule. Verbs ending in IE, like die or lie. For these, you change the I to a yi before adding ing.
Oh, right. So die becomes diang, dying. Lie becomes lying. Tai becomes time.
Correct. Change I to y, then add ing.
Okay. And the third one. This is the doubling one, isn't it?
Yes, the doubling rule. This applies to verbs that end in a single vowel followed by a single consonant. Think CVC consonant, vowel consonant at the end, like swim or run.
Mm-hmm.
If the stress is on that final syllable, and that's always true for one-syllable words, you double the final consonant before adding ing.
Okay, so swim becomes swimming with two M's. Run becomes running with two N's. Beginning. Referring. Control, putting.
Exactly. And simple ones, too, like sit becomes sitting, stop becomes stopping. Double that last consonant.
Right.
There's a catch. If it's a longer verb, more than one syllable ending in vowel consonant, but the stress isn't on the last syllable, then you usually don't double.
Ah, okay. Like open, the stress is on O, so it's just opening.
Exactly. Open stress in the first bit. Same with listen, LIS10. So it just becomes listening, no double N.
That makes sense. You got to listen for the stress.
You do. It's key for those longer verbs. All right, moving away from the spelling, let's talk about when we typically use past continuous. It often hangs out with specific time expressions, doesn't it?
Yeah, phrases that pinpoint a time in the past. Like saying what you were up to at 5:30 yesterday.
Precisely that. Things like this time last year, this time last winter, at this hour yesterday at 5:30. They set the scene. They give you that specific past moment or period when the action was ongoing.
Like in this example.
Right.
This time last summer, I was lying on the beach in Venice. That paints a picture of continuous action back then.
It does, and it often contrasts with the present, like the rest of that sentence, but now I'm working hard. It highlights the past ongoing state, or that classic exchange. What were you doing at about 9 p.m. yesterday evening? Oh, I was watching a football match with my colleagues.
Yeah, both the question and the answer focus right on the action in progress at 9 p.m.
Exactly. And one of the biggest partners for past continuous is the word while. You see, while used a lot to introduce an ongoing background action.
Right. So while this longer thing was happening, something else happened.
Often, yes. The while clause describes the ongoing past continuous action, and then the main clause might use the simple past for a shorter, completed action that interrupted it or happened during it.
Okay.
Like this. While the foreign academician was speaking at the conference, some people left the hall. The speaking was ongoing. The leaving happened during it.
Makes sense. But can while also link to ongoing actions?
Absolutely. If two things were happening simultaneously over a period, like we were dreaming a better future while we were taking education abroad, both dreaming and taking education were continuous and happening at the same time.
Okay, clear.
Now there's another use, maybe a bit more formal, but really common, using past continuous with verbs like hope and wonder to be polite.
Oh, yeah. Like when you say, I was wondering if you could help me. It sounds softer than, can you help me?
Exactly. That's a politeness strategy.
Yeah.
You frame a present request using this past form, and it just sounds less demanding, more tentative.
So the examples here. I was wondering if I could see her for 5 minutes. That's really asking now, politely.
Precisely. Or, she was hoping you could help her to choose party clothes. Again, it's expressing a hope she has now, but using was hoping makes it sound, gentler.
That's a really neat feature of English, using a past tense for present politeness.
It is quite cool, isn't it? Okay, so now, the big comparison. Past continuous versus simple past. This is super important because they both talk about the past, but they do it differently. What's the core distinction we need to really nail down?
Right, this is key. Because choosing the wrong one can kind of mess up your meaning, can't it? Simple past is more about things that are finished, done.
That's the main difference, yeah. Simple past usually looks at an action as a whole. Completed event at a specific past time. Think of it as a dot on the timeline. Past continuous, on the other hand, focuses on the action being in progress, like a line stretching over a point on the timeline. It emphasizes the duration or the middle of the action.
A dot versus a line. I like this.
Yeah, it helps visualize it. So let's look at some specific contrast points.
Okay.
Point 1. Simple past, like started, the V2 form, often stands alone, describing a finished event. The French Revolution started in 1789. Done. Completed event.
And past continuous often needs a bit more context, like it's setting the background.
Often, yes. It frequently appears with another clause, maybe a time clause or a simple past action. Like the example, when the French Revolution started, simple past. Many other countries were observing it worriedly, past continuous.
Huh.
The observing was the ongoing background situation when the starting happened.
Got it. Simple past is the main event, past continuous is the scene.
Kind of, yeah. Point 2, past continuous emphasizes the duration or the process. We were learning a second language in Ireland. Focus on the ongoing learning period.
Whereas simple past would focus on the end result or the fact.
Exactly, like we preferred Ireland in 2015. That focuses on the completed choice or fact in 2015, not the learning process itself.
Okay.
Point 3, we already touched on this. Past continuous loves why while the restoration was going on.
And simple past uses other time words that signal completion.
Right. Words like when or as soon as usually go with simple past because they pinpoint the moment something finished or happened right after when the restoration was completed. Focus on the finish line. As soon as the plan was approved. Focus on the moment of approval.
Makes sense.
And point 4 is about habits. Simple past can talk about past habits or repeated actions. We traveled by train often back then, or teachers behaved differently in my childhood. These described regular past things.
But you don't use past continuous for habits.
Nope, that's a definite no-no. Past continuous isn't for routines or habits in the past. You'd use simple past, or maybe used to.
Okay, that's a really clear distinction. Simple past. Finish actions, events, habits. Past continuous. What was happening, the ongoing stuff at a point in time.
You've got it. And there's just one more crucial detail. Those state verbs, or non-progressive verbs.
Ah, yes, verbs like know, believe, understand, smell, love, hate. The ones describing states or feelings, not really actions.
Exactly those. Generally, you don't use these verbs in any continuous tense, and that includes past continuous when they're describing a state.
So you wouldn't say, I was knowing the answer.
Correct. You just say, I knew the answer.
Yeah.
Simple past.
Or he was thinking I wouldn't come. Well, actually.
Good catch. Think is a bit tricky. If think means believe or have an opinion, then yes, simple past. He thought I wouldn't come. But if think means the active mental process of considering something, then it can be continuous. I was thinking about my holiday.
Right, context matters there. But for states like knowing or believing, usually simple past.
Usually, yes. And same for senses describing a state. The flowers smelled nice, simple past. Not the flowers were smelling nice. Unless, like you said before, someone was actively smelling them. She was smelling the roses. Then it's an action.
Okay, got it. States generally stick to simple past.
Phew. That was quite a tour through the past continuous, wasn't it? And how it lines up against simple past.
Yeah, really thorough. Understanding that difference between finished and in progress in the past is just fundamental.
It really is. So we've covered the basic structure, the negatives, the questions.
All those slightly tricky spellings.
Useful time markers, the link with while, that neat politeness trick with hope and wonder.
And most importantly, how it differs from simple past and when not to use it, like with habits or most state verbs.
Yeah, it really boils down to picking the right tool, the right tense, to show exactly what you mean about that past time.
So, for everyone listening, what's the main takeaway? How can you use this?
Well, first, start noticing it. When you're reading or listening, actively look for the past continuous. Ask yourself, why is it used here? Is it setting a background? Describing something interrupted, emphasizing how long something took. That kind of active noticing really helps.
Good tip. And for your own speaking and writing.
Pause and think. Am I talking about something finished and done, simple past? Or am I trying to paint a picture of something in the middle of happening at a certain past moment, past continuous? Making that conscious choice is key.
Yeah.
Which actually brings up a good point. How comfortable do you feel using it now? Maybe try this. Think about yesterday. Describe a few things you did, simple past, and a few things you were doing at specific times, past continuous. Mix them together.
Oh, I like that challenge. Like, yesterday I finished work at 5, simple past. At 5:30, I was driving home, past continuous, and I saw an accident, simple past, while I was waiting at the lights, past continuous. Something like that.
Exactly like that. Playing around with it in your own context makes it stick.
Great idea. Well, that feels like a good place to wrap up this deep dive.
Yeah, hopefully that's cleared things up and been helpful.
Absolutely. And remember, if you want more deep dives like this, subscribe to Soundlish Podcast. And if you got something out of today, please give us a like. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks everyone. See you next time.